toilet word.
Life Under the Laundry Pile with Copper and Heather. How are you today?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah, you?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yes.
Hey, one quick mention before we start talking about our social media.
Yes.
Copper is with Never Drink from Mommy's Cup, and I'm from One Fed Up Mommy. We're both mommies. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter. We have an Instagram page, a Pinterest board, and a website if you want to find our laundry list. It's our show notes.
Right.
It's a little short synopsis of what we talk about every week. And we had someone say last week how funny they were, so yay me. I really should be a comedy writer. I'm going to leave you. Hit the big time. I'm just kidding.
Oh, you're cute.
So anyway, but yeah, you can find us in those places. So,
what are we talking about this week?
Well, first of all, I think we should share our lovely last week with our listeners because we had a couple of funny things that we did last week.
Yeah.
Hobby Lobby and La Madeleine.
We can't ever go back to Hobby Lobby.
We can't. We went to Hobby Lobby to find some things to make some Halloween. I wanted to make a Halloween wreath and something else. I forget. But we ended up at the little wax cubes that you use in the little burners.
Yeah, my house smells like shit. So we were trying to find a way.
Too.
Right, yeah. So
yeah.
Usually I buy Scentsy, but time doesn't affect. Right, we were there already.
Yeah.
And Heather had to pee 14 times while we were there. So.
I had 4 kids, okay?
It's only one more than me, and I only peed 10 times. So.
Well, there you go.
But, in the process of waiting for her, I'm like, oh, I used to buy these candles here all the time. I should check and see what they have. And then we ended up over smelling the wax, the little wax that you put in your warmer. So
oh, they were bad. They were
bad.
Horrible. They went from bad to worse. And at some point, we realized that blue never smells good.
No.
In fact, it kind of smelled like your grandma's butt.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much they did. And there was one, in fact, that smelled like powder. So that indeed did smell like
that
ass.
literally did smell like someone's butt.
Yeah, it was disgusting, but they were just gross. And there was a woman. Did you see the woman that was standing behind us
the
while
employee?
We were talking? And I turned around at one point and I realized that she was standing back there and she was just looking at us. And I thought, I know you're laughing in your head because we're funny as shit.
Right.
Well, I want to say we're funny as something else, but
well, she, we were telling her wax smelled like a funeral home.
It did.
So.
Oh my God, there was one that smelled like desperate dreams and broken promises in the backseat of your car in high school.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That one was like brown. It was like summer sunset, sunrise, or some stupid crap or something. But we had a name for everything. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It really was. And then fast forward, we went to La Madeleine to meet last week. We kind of broke from our usual meeting and we went and we had breakfast.
Yeah, which it started off that we were going to just go to Starbucks instead for coffee. And I woke up a little, not like terribly hungover, like responsible hungover.
Right.
So I needed to eat.
Well, and it's funny because we sat there from, what time did we meet? 9:45?
No, we were there for 3 hours.
We were there all the way through the lunch crowd. We watched it empty out and then come back again.
Right.
But we were smelling Scentsies at the time because I got Scentsies from that lady. And again, we realized that blue does not smell nice.
No.
It freaking stinks.
Right.
That shit's nasty. So, yeah. Ooh. That's what we did. So we apparently, came up with new alternative names for...
Right. And we talked about boobs.
Oh, yes, we did. One of us has boobs the size of a kid's head, and one of us has boobs the size of my head. We won't tell which, because you've never seen us, but...
I think you know.
So are we consisted of boobs and grandma booties?
Yeah. In this restaurant that...
is frequented by a lot of grandmas.
Right.
But no kids.
Well,
so we might have offended the grandma next to us.
That she had a kid with her because she had that kid sitting on the table the entire
Oh, that's true.
meal.
She did. She sat it on the table.
I'm like, they have high chairs.
Yeah, that was kind of gross.
Like, why would you put your kid's butt on where I put my food?
Yeah, no, that is kind of weird. But yeah, and I have a feeling that the lady that was sitting next to us, she was pretending to read.
She stayed way too long because she was listening to us.
She literally sat next to us. There was nobody else in the whole restaurant, but she sat right next to us, and we were in the corner. And she pretended to read the whole time because I watched her out of the corner of my eye. I'm thinking she has to hear everything that we're saying.
Well, we're not quiet, so.
But yeah.
I know the grandma with the baby, and I think it was the mama, and the grandma would talk to her with this voice, and I'd be like, that literally makes me want to stab my eyes out.
Yeah, I agree. You should not talk to kids like that. I mean, I get they're kids, but with the baby talk is not. It's not cute. It's gross. Yeah, it's gross.
It hurt. It hurt.
So yeah, that's what we did. That's our week in a nutshell.
Really? Yeah, that's what we did.
Talked about grandma booties.
I mean, that's what we did with each other. Boobs.
With each other. So, anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I did that didn't involve you.
I don't know. I just survive every week.
Right.
Like, I survive from recording to recording. Because, life is crazy.
Yeah.
When school starts.
Especially lately. I seem to be having a really hard time. Like, everyone gets that groove. And usually it comes very quickly, but this year it just doesn't seem to be falling into place. So.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm having a hard time finding time for myself.
Yeah, I didn't yesterday.
I have. I've had a really hard time. I really struggled with it. In fact, I posted something on my Instagram about it last night, and I was just like, it sucks because the days go by and the weeks are done, and I haven't done a effing thing for myself, and it pisses me off because I have all 4 kids in school. Why can't I have any time for myself? So
you went to the movies.
I went to the movies yesterday, and God love her. I love my friend Joan. She's one of my best friends. She lives across the street from me, but I was not really feeling it yesterday. Yeah. Mondays are hard for me. That's
why we switched the recording to Tuesdays, because we were recording on Mondays, and it was just too hard for both of us. So
Monday's kind of my come down from the weekend.
Right.
I don't know about you, but you don't get any time off on the weekends when you're a mom. Like that does not exist, weekend time. So Mondays is kind of like let me breathe, let me tidy up, let me restart, you know. But I just wasn't feeling it. And we went and saw Mrs. Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and it was okay. I love the books, but that was a little bit of me time, but
you weren't
not doing something I really wanted to be doing.
Right.
So, but anyway.
I went out to dinner last week without my husband or the kids. That was pretty...
you did.
Granted, I went out to dinner with one of my husband's coworkers, who is basically the female version of my husband. So, like, literally, they are the same. Maybe that's why she and I like each other so much, but she is Moose.
Yeah.
With
boobs.
With boobs, yeah.
Moose with boobs, that's funny. Moose, if you're listening, that's really funny. That's what you get for breaking my chair.
Yeah, exactly.
Not happy.
Heather, we record the show in my office, and we have 2 setups in here because when Matt is home, he works from home. He doesn't report to anywhere when he's not on the road. And he has this old rickety chair, which I make Heather sit in all the time. And he broke the arm off of it last week. And every once in a while, she'll lean over and almost fall out.
There's nowhere to go. If you hear something go thud while we're recording, just keep on going. It's fine. It's fine.
Which we have a nickname for that chair to begin with, and I'm not going to go into that here. But
Let's just say there's something on the seat.
It's cupcake. It's totally cupcake icing that stained the seat.
Take it where you will. People.
Right? Yeah. So it has a nickname, and
if you
it's
listen
not.
to us, you have to have an active imagination.
Right.
So
it truly is cupcake, but that's not what we call it. So, but yeah, so the lesson here to be learned is that Heather needs to be restrained in chairs like a child. Yeah. So, because if she's not...
I have nothing to lean on. I mean, my Lord, how am I supposed to stay up?
There's been a couple times I've seen her kind of tip over and like, oh, wait. Yeah.
Well, that's just because there's liquor in my cup.
Is there?
No, there's not.
Oh, I got all excited. I'm like, are we doing that?
My screw top bottle wine is almost empty, or I would have totally poured some of that bitch in there. I like that stuff. It's barefoot. Is that what it is?
Oh, I like barefoot.
I have no problem with screw top wine. Like, that's like the best invention ever. You can put the lid back on.
A little wine history for you.
Don't tell me it's made of like goat's ass or something.
No. You see more and more screw tops nowadays, and it's not a sign of like the wine being cheaper, even though Barefoot's one of your cheaper wines, but they're very consistent. Mm-hmm. It's not a fancy wine by any means, but it's very consistent. Like Barefoot's always going to be a decent choice, you know, for your day to day. But what they're finding is the screw tops are keeping the wine better than some of the corks that they were using for wine. So even like there's some people that have not switched over to that, but you'll see more and more of the screw tops because
I like it because I don't know about you, but I hate trying to shove that damn cork back in the bottle. It never happens.
I've never really had that problem.
So what I'll do is I do the ghetto redneck version and then take a piece of foil and I'll put it over the top. But not for $5.99. This is the best thing ever. Just put the lid back on.
Why would you need to recork it?
Because I don't drink that shit all at one time. This I could drink all at one time. This is some good stuff.
Which one?
Thank you to my sister, by the way. The pink one. I don't know. It's pink.
Is it pink Moscato?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's yummy. That's all I know. Very yummy. Like, I don't leave any in my glass.
Right.
I will tell you there's certain wines that I buy, and I'll pour, like, about, a couple inches. And inevitably, halfway through, I'm like, yeah, I'm done. This is not good. And then I'll just pour the rest of it out. I don't do that with this wine.
I used to drink a lot of wine. But after all 3 kids, I just don't... I can't handle it the way I used to. And I'm not talking like chugging the wine. There's been times, but not, But it takes very little for me to kind of hurt from it. So I get like headache, migraines and stuff.
Yeah, you have to be careful because I agree. I'm the same way. I don't drink red wine at all because I get a migraine.
And I believe it's, don't quote me, I think it's the nitrates in the red wine that cause migraines. So I do, red is my favorite, but I just don't... and my favorite wine. It's not my favorite choice of alcohol, but I just really don't. I occasionally do drink it still, but it's very rare.
Yeah, no, I like
Versus it used to be pretty consistent. I'm not every day, but mostly every day.
Yeah.
This was before we had kids. I can remember we had a Thanksgiving at my mother-in-law's house one year, and we're all sitting around the table. It's me and his. I don't think that Kathy was there. I think it was the 2 sisters and me, and my niece, who at the time was maybe like 7 or 8. She was like, the night had gone on for quite a while, and she comes in and she's like, why are there more wine bottles than people in here? And we're like, you know what?
It just happens. It's okay. Don't ask questions.
But we had, but I'm like, you're so smart with your math.
She could help your kids with their homework because
true.
Yeah. All right, so this week we were going to talk about a really funny little topic. There's an Instagram page out there called Average Parent Problems, and people kind of submit their average parent problems. And if you guys don't know what an average parent problem is, we're not talking about supermom problems like, oh no, little Chanel rubbed organic butter on my new Manolos. We're talking about baby number 4 dropped her pacifier on the ground in Walmart. You spit on it and you wipe it off with your shirt and you stick it back in her mouth.
That's first part, average. I didn't like half of that. I didn't understand.
Yeah.
What's a Manila?
Manila, very expensive shoes.
Oh,
Have you never seen Sex in the City?
Do they sell those at Payless? If they don't, I don't know what it is.
I've never had one on my foot, but I've watched enough Sex on the City to Sex on the City. What the hell am I doing? Did you spike my drink?
Nope. But
yeah, no. So average parent problems is that because I totally will be honest here, and I have so many times picked that pacifier up off the ground and wiped it off on my shirt and stuck it right back in my kid's mouth. Yeah. There's no shame to my game. Those are average parent problems.
Before we had kids, we had a friend, and they were actually neighbors of ours. He ended up being a real douchebag. But that's besides the point. So he used to, their baby, who was just the cutest thing ever, squishy, and I loved him. He would always, that baby would drop that binky, and he'd pick it up and pop it in his mouth and then clean it off and put it back in the baby. And I was always like, oh. But then we had a restaurant, and he would do that. Like, he'd pick it up off the floor.
Yep. I have done that.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I have done that. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. But I always wiped it off. I mean, I used to carry a couple of extras, but there were times when I didn't have them with me or they had dropped every one of them on the ground. And trust me, if that's the difference between finishing your shopping trip or putting it back and leaving, it's a no-brainer. Right. Sorry.
Maggie went through a stage at grocery stores where we'd have to, and it was a very short stage, but we would get there inevitably. She'd be hungry. And so inevitably I would pick up a can of Pringles.
That is so funny. You're one of those parents.
I don't know that I ever put much thought into that kind of parent, but I became that parent. And I always paid for it.
That's hilarious. I never did that, but I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen parents that do that. They'll do it with a loaf of bread or with a box of crackers. Right. The worst is the fruit.
The fruit. We never did that.
No, pay for fruit that's not on there.
I mean, if you had to weigh it in order to pay for it, that's certainly...
I never understood that. Okay, I lie. I always got my kids popcorn chicken from the deli in Walmart, and I would let them eat it. And then, yes, I would hand them the empty cup and pay for it.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yes, okay, I did do that. Ooh, okay, I'm a hypocrite, but
you're paying for it.
Oh, absolutely. But I was thinking, I never did that. I did that every single time with the popcorn chicken. Yeah. We would go there first,
and it was a matter of, it was a matter of getting my stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And inevitably, she wanted those Pringles. Mm-hmm. It's not like she wanted the granola bar I had in my bag or anything like that. And I was 8 months pregnant. Mm-hmm. I was miserable. I didn't care. I couldn't think ahead.
Right.
If I did pack her Pringles, I'd eat them on the way to the grocery store. But then it was a very short stage. But we definitely we did that every once in a while just to keep the peace. So
yeah.
Well, and I honestly I can think of a few times where we were towards the front of the store and I would walk up, pay, and then do it. But
no, I totally get that. Before I forget, I know it's kind of already into October, but Copper and I wanted to issue a call to action. If you have any average parent problems, you can go on our Instagram or on our Facebook and use the hashtag LULP, average parent problem, and tell us what your average parent problem is. But I have a few of my own, if you want to hear what they are.
Yes, go ahead.
When you realize that the old brown Tic Tac that you picked up is not actually a Tic Tac, but guinea pig poop, that's an average parent problem. When you totally let your kid pull a pillow out at Walmart and lay on the ground and you're like, okay, fine, and you just finish looking at the placemats.
Right.
That's an average parent problem. That's kind of almost a redneck parent problem. But that is totally an average parent problem. God, see, I wrote these all down while I was in the parking lot yesterday at school. When you get all three little kids kicking and screaming from playing Xbox and you're 2 minutes down the road to pick up your middle schooler and she calls to tell you she found another ride home. That shit sucks.
Right.
That's an average parent problem. Do you have any before I finish my list?
I know you go ahead and finish yours and then I'll talk a little bit.
Let's see. When you get to the
I want this. You have one that has TMI next to it.
It is. I'll read that one last. Okay, when you get to the checkout at Walmart, oh, this was awful. And you turn around and you look and you see a shampoo trail behind you. Only to realize that one of the toddlers in your buggy has taken off the top of the shampoo bottle, and now everybody in Walmart is like a slip hazard. You're thinking, oh dear God, please! I don't even know how far back this trail started. Right. That's an average
It probably started back at the shampoo aisle.
Jesus Lord,
every freaking time.
I cringed. I got up there and put it on top of the little checkout thing, and I turned around and looked, and I said, "What is that?" And then I saw it oozing. I was like, oh, my Lord. So I'm sorry to the Walmart and Gulf Breeze. That was years ago. But let's see. I have two more. When your 2-year-old locks you and the rest of the little kids out of the house for an hour, and then you're literally standing there and you realize she has no friggin' clue how to unlock it again.
Right.
That's an average parent problem.
Not to cut you off, but that never happened to me. However, my friend Missy... She has these little twins. They just turned 4 this week, so happy birthday, babies. But they used to lock her out of the house. And you can see into her house, so she'd be on the outside. And she learned very quickly that she had emergency stashes. So
right.
But she would literally just sit there at the window and she could see the destruction going on inside.
Oh, yeah,
because
absolutely.
It'd be lock mommy out. And rip this place to pieces.
Oh, yeah. So, it's free for all.
I always thought it was hilarious. Missy, not so much.
It is not, no. Well, the kicker.
But they can do no wrong in my eyes, so.
Well, the worst thing is when you look in there and the little a-holes are watching TV, like with their back to you. And you're like, can you not open that freaking door?
Right. Yeah.
But the most horrible part of my story is an hour later, after we were like melted, I realized that I had hidden a key. I was so pissed. I was pissed. Oh my God. Yeah, it was Paige who locked us out. So, oh, this one's really gross. This is like okay. When you've gone through the entire Walmart and you look down and realize as you're checking out that you had a leaky boob stain on your shirt the whole entire time.
Yeah.
That's an average parent problem. Yeah.
And that goes for not just leaky boob. That's
a stain.
Vomit.
So mortifying.
Yeah. Right after Maggie, I went back to work, and like there was just one day where I was walking around. I'm like all day. I'm like, I smell puke. There's vomit. I kept smelling puke, and it took me several hours to realize that it was all down the back of my damn sweater.
Oh.
Like I was not business wear, but business casual.
In the front, party in the back.
Kind of, yeah. That's pretty common. I think we've all walked around with body fluids on us.
And I still remember the shirt. I had on a red shirt.
But, of course.
Yeah, that had to be when I must have had really a lot of small kids at the same time. But that was mortifying.
Yeah.
I just remember. Now I know why the men were staring at me. Yeah. Ew, sorry. That was TMI.
Leaky boobs.
This was the boob episode.
It is.
I'm just going to make a graphic of a big boob. With a little grandma butt behind it.
My average parent problems are, they all seem to have like a schedule theme to them. So we're running into like, and we have no commitments. Like I limit what my kids do outside the home for reasons that we've talked about before. But even so, like we're coming across these things where our commitments are overlapping.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have to make that call, what are you going to do?
Right.
That's an average parent problem. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Especially when
there's no nanny to take them,
and there's no second person to take them.
No, right.
No. Like this week alone, we had to choose between, and these are not life or death situations by any means, but like we have to choose between.
I love your disclaimer. like somebody's gonna call us and say, "Come on, lady."
Someone's gonna roll their eyes and like give me a break. Yeah, I get it, but it's still at that point where you're just like, ugh, when you have to choose between Spirit Night and Cub Scout meeting, or on Friday. Matt was supposed to be home this week, so I volunteered to, what's it called when you go on the field trips? Chaperone, yes. I volunteered to chaperone for him, and now Matt's not here, and of course Friday is the one day of the week that Henry is not in school.
Gotcha.
So I had to scramble to find somebody to watch Henry during the day. So otherwise, I would not have been able to go, and not to go into a lot of details, but I'm not entirely sure I would have let Jackie go because of where they're going. We've had not problems with the place. The place is wonderful, but his allergies and his asthma flared up very badly after we were there last time. So I'm a little hesitant to let him go by himself, just because he kisses goats and I can't.
And I would say I would help him, but I have no idea what even, like, I don't even have any experience with asthma, so I just chaperone.
What I really need is for him not to put his tongue in a goat's mouth. Is what I really need.
Well, I couldn't guarantee that, so sorry, because my kids would probably do that.
And that sounds like he might be like, there's no issues. Jackie, but he loves everybody, and like, so he wants to bury his face in their fur and hug them, and it's just we can't do that. And he's not going to be allowed to ride the horse. And, of course, he's going to have a complete meltdown about that, too. So I don't want to put that on another parent.
That was really funny.
What?
What you just did. He likes to bury his face in their fur.
And I just did like a...
Yes, yeah, and I'm just envisioning.
Yep. God,
that's what she said. That's what he said.
What is wrong with you today?
I'm like this all the time. Let's just be honest. We try to censor ourselves for you guys. But there may come a point in time where we don't.
You really should know what we talked about before we hit record today.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Can I talk about what we talked about before we started? Can I say it?
Have at it. This is our show. This is our show. We talk about what we want to talk about.
So... How did we start on like, oh, we were talking about yard of the month in our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And Heather says, I'm never going to get yard of the month because I don't trim my bushes. And
That's
I started
right.
laughing because I'm like, yep.
And then it snowballed into
me basically saying I don't trim anything I can't see. And
we were talking about the correlation between men with beards
and women
bars.
And women with beards.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Back to what the hell were we talking about?
Oh, back to our
I don't know. I just the whole like I don't trim my bushes thing just put me over the top. Yeah.
I don't. I like them natural.
No, I know. We've talked about this before.
And we are really talking about the bushes in my front yard.
No, we're not.
But I'll have to put a picture on my Facebook page so you guys will know. And I mean of my house.
Welcome to the jungle. You have a gorgeous front yard. And I am talking about your actual yard. I've never seen the other yard. We're not that close.
I think I'm red. I don't get embarrassed easy, but this is funny. All right, that was for you, Janelle. I have a feeling you're giggling if you're listening to this.
We'll get a text from Janelle very shortly.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Which I love. But, so average parent problems. The morning freaking routine. This just came up this morning where we've been getting ready for school for, about
a month, maybe? A little more?
Well, but we've been getting ready for school for 5 years. I mean,
Okay.
Maggie's she's in 4th grade. She's in her 5th year of school.
Right.
The routine hasn't changed.
Right.
And yet every freaking morning, I'm having to yell.
Yeah. Oh, true. You're preaching to the choir. I know. And I count down. And my kids still sit
15
there like
minutes,
zombies.
20, 2 minutes. And it's not even the boys, which is so weird. It's Maggie, and I get it.
It's Emma, too.
She's not a morning person. I get it. Yeah. I'm not a morning person.
Right.
But, I'm like, why is it taking you 20 minutes to eat 4 mini pancakes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. It's the same way at my house. It is. So, I don't know if it's the age or what.
I mean, I have to believe that every home is like this, where the yelling in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the yelling at the night when it's time to go to bed.
Oh, absolutely. Because my kids can find a million things to do all of a sudden.
Well, that's when they decided, like, Jackie inevitably decides to do extra homework at 7:30 at night.
Oh, mine want to clean their room. I'm like, really? I should tell you it's bedtime all the time.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, I know. Have you seen that little funny meme that floats around? It says at bedtime my kids have become these little starving, whatever.
Thirsty, starving.
Yes.
Intellectual,
Yes.
Those are my kids.
Philosophical, yeah.
And we have a very easy bedtime, but at the same time it's not. It's still, there's that struggle to get them into bed and tucked in, so.
Oh yeah, well because my kids can find a million things to do. It's Emma, I have to say, these days.
And sometimes I think I feed it because I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I just need for you to go to sleep.
Oh yeah, me too, absolutely. I'm terrible, but I agree. Yeah. So that is average parent problems.
Yeah. So, we do get why a lot. Why? Why do I have to do that? Why do I have to pick that up? I'm like, why do I have to pick that up?
Well, I just tell them I don't have to explain myself to you. Because I get it all the time, too.
Right. And I'm just always like, why? I didn't make that. Why do I have to pick that? I'm like, well, why do I have to pick it up? I didn't make that mess.
Right.
So we have that argument quite a bit, and I think that's pretty common. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Everything I say, and again, it's poor Emma, my 9-year-old, she inevitably says, well, why not? Why can't I?
Right.
Well, why?
That's my Jackie.
And I'll tell her, I don't have to give you a reason why.
Right.
Just because I said so, that's enough. But yeah,
yeah, we have that discussion. I'm like, I'm not saying I don't want to hear your opinion on things, but ultimately, it's not your choice.
Right. Yeah, I know.
Like, I don't want to go there. Not your choice. You know?
Right, I know.
Get a job, buy yourself a car, and have a life.
I know.
Then it can be your choice, yeah. But constantly having that argument.
Yeah,
so.
I get that too. Drives me batty. So yeah, so it seems like we're pretty average parents.
Yeah.
With a lot of problems.
I know.
So.
I know that one's hard, and I have a lot of like parent problems, but that was hard for me to come up with something. We had a conversation about testicles in a restaurant this weekend. I mean, does that count for something?
I think in general, most things that we encounter on a daily basis are considered, average parent problems.
Yep.
So, but we'd really like to see, that hashtag. If you guys want to participate, it'd be really fun. It's just hashtag LULP, Average Parent Problems.
Yep.
And hopefully we'll throw up a few of our own. And I can put a link to the Instagram page that we were talking about. It's really funny.
I think that's a great idea.
So, but yeah, that's that. So, what else were we going to talk about?
We're going to have some confessions.
Mom confessions. This was easy for me too. It's terrible. I have lots of confessions.
Well, I'm a perfect parent, so it was a little harder for me.
Yeah.
I'm totally invested in my children's lives, and
true confession, copper lies.
Yeah. No, that's true. True story.
Yes.
I went back to when my kids were babies, and I was thinking about like how the standards dropped so fast.
Oh, from your kid to kid to kid.
No, even from the get-go. Like even when Maggie was born, like the standards, like she, babies have leaky diapers and they spit up and it'd be the middle of the night. And you would think you'd be really grossed out by that.
Right.
I would throw a towel down and go back to bed.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And you know what would happen the next night? That towel would still be there and I'd still sleep on it.
I did that. Do you know how many times my kids would wake up in the middle of the night and had wet their bed?
Yeah.
And I would throw down about 4 towels and be like, lay down, go to sleep. I'll take care of it. I'm not one of those great moms who will strip that damn bed in the middle of the night. Hell no. My sleep is precious.
Right. No, well, my kids' sleep is precious. So I'm like, we make this transition as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
just cover it and go back to sleep.
That's right. Absolutely. I'll deal with it in the morning.
If you don't like it, don't pee the bed. Yeah. I'm kidding. I would never say that to the kids. That's an accident, not their fault. But
that's funny.
And along with that goes, I had noticed that there and it just completely escaped me.
We were talking about
babies.
And you said your standards had went down.
Yeah. I don't remember. Is that horrible? I'm so mentally dead today. Tell me something from yours and I will come back to it.
I once let my kids have ice cream, all 3 meals in one day.
We had brownies. I have it on here. When I was
That's a little more creative than ice cream.
Right. And we still this day, there's times where we want brownies for dinner. We want ice cream for dinner. I'll be like, you know what? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not often, as I'm sure with you. But there was towards the end of my pregnancy with Jack, and it was just Maggie and I, and she'd be like, why can't we have brownies? And I'm like, you know what? I don't have a valid reason. And we did. Yeah. We ate brownies, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Absolutely. We did too. And it was one of the first years when we first moved here. So my kids were really small and things were just chaos, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And I remember. And I remember at the end of the day sitting back thinking, oh shit, I literally gave my kids ice cream for 3 meals today.
Right.
And I was like, I don't care. It's okay.
They're fine.
My kids will survive.
Guess what? They obviously survived.
Yeah, obviously they did.
People are always roll their eyes at this. When my kids were teething, I put whiskey on their gums.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I ever did it, but I'm from the country, you know that.
Right.
And I did hear a lot. Like honey, I guess honey and whiskey and all that. Yeah.
Honey is like sore throat.
Okay.
It doesn't work. People swear up and down it does, but I've never.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is funny. Yeah, I didn't do that.
And nowadays, everyone always like, oh.
Botulism.
Oh, with the honey, yeah, but no. Well,
I was thinking about that Jeopardy commercial.
And babies under 1, they should not have honey. But people always like, you gave your baby alcohol. I'm like, no, I took my finger, dipped it in the whiskey,
right,
dabbed it on their gums, and then drank the rest of the whiskey, and then we both went to sleep. So it was fine.
People are too uptight nowadays. Yeah. Don't even get me started. Whew. Yeah, I agree. I have no problem with that. So that's your mom fashion number 2.
Yeah, since I can't remember, it had something to do with poop. I don't remember what the poop was.
Maybe you'll remember.
Maybe, I don't know. The boys wore some of Maggie's clothing.
Yes. Oh, Landon has too.
Yeah. But jammies and stuff when they were babies, I'm like, and they had little boy jammies too.
That is so funny.
I did not necessarily get rid of all that. No one's ever going to see it.
Funny.
Who cares?
Yeah, no. Well, it's kind of like the story I had where Landon ended up in the ruffled blue jeans.
Yes,
absolutely.
After the accident, yep.
Yeah. So?
Sorry, I was taking a drink. Don't pressure me. And it was water, so I'm like, ugh, water. What else?
The only this one's horrible. The only way I can tell if my little kids have actually had a bath within the last couple of days if I sniff their head. True story.
Oh, I sniff my kids' heads all the time anyway.
Yeah, they don't ever smell good. But by the degree of how bad the head smells, then I can tell about when they had a bath.
Right.
Because, true confession, we don't take baths every night. It would drive me over the edge. That's just one more thing I have to add to my list. Granted, my kids do bathe themselves. There is still some degree of
participation.
Help. Yeah, absolutely. In order for them to have their head properly washed, you have to kind of do it yourself for my two smallest. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't. My kids, and that is also my other confession. One of my other confessions. My kids don't bathe every single night. Sorry.
Mine don't. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maggie does. She needs to.
Emma has started.
Yeah, they're to that point.
And obviously my teenager. Well, that's questionable, too. She's a teenager.
Yeah.
Someday she's like, do you think I need to take a shower tonight? I'm like, is your hair greasy?
Can you smell yourself?
But you know me, I take enough showers for everybody in my house.
Exactly. Yeah, if your kids start showering, you suck all the water out of the lake. But yeah, I smell my kids' hair all the time anyway. That's like a guilty pleasure for me. So I like the smell of their heads, and I like that little spot at the back of their neck, right where the hair meets there.
I wish you could see my face. If you could see my face, I'm kind of mortified.
I love that little...
My kids don't smell that nice. Now, the worst smell in my house, and I have dogs. I have dogs, cats, guinea pig, children.
God knows what else is living in there. Yeah.
Landon's BB. That thing smells like 10 yards of goat ass. But I love to smell that. Like, if he ever stops carrying that BB, I think I'll cry.
Yeah.
Like, it stinks so bad. You can ask anybody in our house, and they'll tell you how bad it smells, even after I wash it. So I get the head thing.
Right.
Like, yeah. But my kids' heads don't smell like that.
That's how you decide they need a bath. I bribe my kids.
Yeah? With money? Food? Both?
No, not money.
Okay.
No, no one's bribing me with money. No, I mean it's a look. If you're good, we'll do something, or we'll have ice cream or whatever.
Right.
If you just eat your freaking dinner.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of times I bribe them with TV, which is awesome. That's good parenting right there. So.
Well, I guess I kind of do that then. If I tell them if you clean your room, then you can play on the Xbox. Or you can get on the
but
computer.
the joke is, I mean, it's kind of on them because I'm going to let them watch TV anyway because I have things to do.
Right.
Which is another one. Like, my kids watch TV, play games, and videos all the time.
Oh, mine do too.
Right.
Mine do too. Absolutely. But to play the devil's advocate, I'm sure they do read. I'm sure they do, creative things.
I know that they read because they want me to listen to them, so I sit there and listen to them read.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in that same boat right now where they're learning to read, and it's just like,
it's
there's that scene in Billy Madison where he's like, today, Junior, and you're like, yes, I get it.
Yeah, that falls right along with playing with your kids.
I have that too. I don't like playing with them.
I don't
and
either.
I mean the...
Get down on the floor and play dolls with me?
No.
No, hell no, me neither.
I do not want to.
Me neither. Well, I told you I sabotage it. When I play, I do annoying things with the toys to piss the kids off. But Emma got wise. The other day, she said, I know what you're doing. Stop it and play right. And I was like, damn it. But that's okay. I still have 2 more kids who don't know.
Maggie's doll phase was very, very... Short. And she will occasionally, you'll find her in her room and she's got them lined up and stuff, but it's really never been her thing. But she used to want to play Tea Party all the time. And she didn't say tea party. It was Petit Hobble.
Oh, that's so
Let's
cute.
have a cup of Petit Hobble, Mama. And it was cute and annoying at the same time. She'd have to sit on the floor in her bedroom and for hours on end with her stuffed animals and drink Petit Hobble.
Hours on end, girl.
Hours on end.
I always tell them ahead of time, okay, just for a few minutes I'll play with you.
Right.
And then after a few minutes, I'm out of there.
I gotta go. It doesn't mean I don't love you, but
Peace
I don't
out.
really, I just can't. I have imagination, I'm sure, but playing with the Barbie dolls just kills me.
As an adult, I have a hard time, it's just... I don't know what it is.
Do you want to color? Do you want to paint? Do you want to do board games? Yes, let's do that. Do you want to go outside and ride bikes? Sure, let's do that. But to sit down and play with the toys, I'm like, you have to do it on your own.
Wasn't that why you had other kids?
Exactly.
Like, seriously, that's why I had so many kids.
Yeah.
Go play with them.
Right. What else?
Oh, let's see. This is awful, but I have actually told my kids before to get out of going to the park that the park was closed for renovations.
Oh, yeah. I've lied about everything being closed.
I've told them at restaurants before that they were out of certain things, or, that store was closed, or they weren't open yet, or kids can't go in there today, it's adult only day. I mean, I told my kids, you name it, I've told them.
If you ask my kids, Chuck E. Cheese is closed all the time for cleaning, which we all know is not true.
I don't think that place ever closes.
No. It never gets cleaned.
Satan lives there. It never closes.
It never gets cleaned either.
No.
So
Yuck. I actually once told the kids, or maybe more than once told the kids, that the Tooth Fairy couldn't find our house. And it was only because I had no money, or I just plain forgot.
Right.
And I couldn't tell you how many times I have forgotten and run in there at like 5 a.m. and slipped the money in.
I think I've done that. I've never completely forgotten, but I think we've done that where it's been like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and we're both like, oh shit. And one of us goes in there and
It's the same way with that stupid ass Elf on the Shelf, which, by the way, if any of you are friends with both of us, you saw our... Well, no, where did I have that? I have that on my One Fed Up Mommy. The commentary about the damn Elf on the Shelf. I hate that little a-hole, and I wish him a slow, painful death, suffocating in his box. Truth. Mom confession. But I am going to buy Copper one so that she can do our December challenge, and she can put him in some, or her, in some
awkward
situations.
Yeah, they've always wanted one.
Kid-friendly, though. Don't worry, sorta-ish. Let's say over kids' heads so they don't get what you're really doing.
What if I put it in the awkward situations and then I went ahead and did something for the kids?
Oh, I just had the funniest one. You need to have
that's twice the work for
You need to have her hung over with a bottle of booze and like a big mess around her. That would be funny. Yeah, see, but I don't want to do this. Right. I hate ours. I would come downstairs and forget about it, and Lloyd would look at me, and I'd throw it. Literally threw it one day, and it landed on top of the ceiling fan. So then the next day, the kids got up, and we forgot. Totally forgot. The kids didn't even mention it. So Landon turned the ceiling fan on, and
it just flew.
Martin. My kids have terrible names. Martin fell down, and the kids freaked out. At that moment, I should have said, oh, he's dead. No more Martin. That would have been my ticket out of there. What the hell? Because seriously... I can't stand him.
See, we've never had one,
and the kids Fairy, and I hate the Elf on the Shelf.
I look at Elf on the Shelf every single year because the kids bring it up. They know it from school and everything, and I just can't always. It's $30, and it seems like a lot to me.
It's a waste.
Stupid doll.
It is, and I would give you mine, but when I posed the question the other day, and I said, I think I'll just give it to Copper and her kids, or go let him live with Copper and her kids. The kids all said, oh, no. I was like, damn. So,
do you ever wonder, like, where their level of belief is?
Emma already kind of knows that I'm the Tooth Fairy, even though I still tell her I'm not.
Right.
I don't know about Maggie. Does Maggie she doesn't believe anymore? Or
not,
she does?
If she doesn't believe, she does not let on.
Okay.
So
Emma's the only one who gives any inkling that she doesn't really believe. But she's still a kid enough that she doesn't care. She just wants the reward. She wants
to play along. Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, Landon and Paige are still, they're still babies.
They are.
Right?
Now, we'll tell you, Aubrey, she has almost spilled the beans a few times, and I wanted to wring her neck. I'm like, do not ruin it for these little kids. Nobody ruined it for you. Right. Don't ruin it for them. Right. And that really, very close.
I have a story about that. We had, I don't know what I was thinking. I generally don't do birthday parties for the kids, but when we first moved back here to Texas, I had a birthday party for Maggie, and the girls were sitting around the table, and they were doing a little craft thing I put together, and these 2 girls from down the street happened to pipe up with Santa Claus isn't real. And the entire table went silent, and I had 8 little girls sitting there near tears, and I'm like, no, he's real. I'm like, he is real. I've seen him. I'm like, Look, here's the deal. If you don't want to play along, if you don't want your kids to believe if they've already gotten to that point where they don't,
Right.
that's your prerogative.
Right.
Don't ruin it for other little kids.
Right.
And once your kids do believe, you should have that conversation with them. Like, don't piss another kid's Cheerios.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. And that's always kind of...
Because I had 8 little girls,
Yeah.
like, lips quivering, like, what the, like, nope, he's real. I've seen him.
Well, and it's always a very big possibility when your kids start to get older that they will ruin it for the small
Right.
kids. And it's something you don't think about.
Right.
Until that moment, and you're just like you said, you're like, oh my God, don't do it.
Right.
Just don't do it. And you think, how am I supposed to fix it? But Emma has friends in her class who have actually said over the past year or so
Right.
that they don't believe and that it's not real. So it's not just at home.
Right.
So, I don't know. It is kind of sad. I think that's a sad day when they stop,
I do too.
because then they start growing
Yeah.
up, and it is kind of sad.
I agree.
So, oh my goodness. Well, those are all my mom confessions.
Me too.
You have no more? Okay.
I couldn't think of a ton. Like I told you, I was not super prepared, and I said I had quite a while this morning. We got back from dropping the kids off the bus, and Henry was like, "I'm gonna go watch some videos." And I'm like, "Good riddance." Perfect example.
Yes, that's so funny.
But I kind of had a little brain fart. I just couldn't think, and I do some really desperate things. So I have, don't get judgy on me. So I have in the past had, like a dinner party or whatever at the house, and where my girlfriends and I maybe have not like blasted drunk, but obviously I'm a little tipsy.
Mm-hmm.
I will agree to a camp out in my room every time if I've had something to drink because it's less effort for me.
There is no shame to that game.
So if I'm a little buzzy, I'm going to agree to a camp out. And here's the ticket. I think they know it.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Maggie does, for sure. She's like, if mommy's had 2 beers, you can totally ask for a camp out, and she'll say yes. Yeah. Because I don't want to have to deal with putting everybody in their own beds, and the walking from one end of the house just kills me on a good day.
It's easier.
Right.
It is easier.
Yeah.
I get that.
Judge me. A lot of mine had to do with alcohol. Whiskey when my kids are babies, and if I'm drunk, then they can get a camp out in my room. So.
Let's see. This episode definitely boiled down to boobs.
Bushes. Booze.
Booze. And babies.
And bad candles.
Yeah.
Bad wax.
Grandma booties. Sorry, grandmas. And bad dashed hopes and dreams in the backseat of a 1995 Camaro. No, 85 Camaro. Let's just be honest.
I was going to say a 95.
Let's just be honest. Yeah. Well, probably a 95 too. I don't know. I wasn't married till I was in 98. Not till I was in 98. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, no, I knew what you meant.
All right, lady. I think that's it. Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So don't forget if you want to participate in the challenge.
Right.
Hashtag
if you have a parental situation that you just can't grasp, post it on there for
or
us
a
to
mom
see.
confession. Let's just throw that one out there too. If you have mom confessions, put them on our page. Put them on our wall. That's we like participation, and you guys need to feel free to put whatever you want.
No, you need to step up your game.
We have no filter on our page, so go for it.
Why not?
And we might mention it the next time. All right.
All right. Everyone have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.